All right, what's going on, guys? I have a case study from a little while ago. Figured I'd put a little presentation together here to show you guys just my diagnostic flow, how I attacked this one. So pretty much we had a 2020 Ford Transit 350. Now this was an auction vehicle. Shop bought it, and I guess this shop likes to just buy stuff like this and flip it. So with that, there's no vehicle history on this, since it was an auction vehicle. The complaint on this was engine did not crank. So everything would light up when you turn the key on. We had communication to all the modules, but there'd just be the starter wouldn't try to engage at all. There was no warnings on the dash on this one either. Anything that would relate to like why it wouldn't crank. Some previous history on this shop had a bunch of fault codes in here for the ABS module. So they said they went ahead and did a replacement, had someone come and do all the programming that this module needed. And that was it. After this, they couldn't figure out why this one didn't start. So they called me in for some help. Now, an initial scan right here showed a bunch of like communication codes, but nothing here really kind of sent me in a direction as to why it wouldn't crank when I was looking at this. So I kind of disregarded a bunch of these codes. For this one, I did just use my Autel 909. I do have Ford, but sometimes for diags, I find it just a little bit easier because the Autel is much faster for doing live data and stuff in my experience. So pre-scan right here didn't really show any codes that kind of sent me in any type of direction. So first thing I wanted to do is move on to some live data. Couple inputs here I want to check just to see that could prohibit like an engine start. So first thing I want to do is just make sure we have brake input. So the data PIDs here changed as I'd apply the brakes. So I saw no issues there, as well as the brake lights did illuminate. So this is showing me right away that the circuit's working good. I don't have any issues with like a brake switch input prohibiting start on this one. Next, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any issues with like PAT's request. You could see we have success right here. It was challenged. It was success, motive, start, request. I didn't see any issues here with the PAT system. There was no security light on. A lot of the times there'll also be some type of security light on the cluster that you'll see, like a red light, a padlock, or a key. It depends on the vehicle, but something along those you'll see. But I didn't see anything in the data here for PATs telling me that there'd be a valid reason why this was prohibiting start. Next, I just wanted to make sure I had all the correct inputs from ignition switch. So you could see we have a bunch here: run start, some output controls, ignition switch. All these were correct as to positions of the keys and everything. So I didn't see any issues there. Wasn't a ton of PIDs. Sometimes you'll have like a bunch, like the ACC run start, but this one was good enough for me, just showing like the start circuit. Another one I wanted to check is transmission position. You know, if this thing wasn't in park or neutral, that would prohibit it from starting. Neutral safety switch issue. This was good, as well as on the cluster, it also showed the correct gear selected for park, reverse, neutral, drive. No issues here with that. So I'm not seeing any issues in the live data for anything that would prohibit engine start on this one. So jumping right into a wiring diagram. This is a factory Ford wiring diagram for the starter circuit. You could see we have a non-serviceable starter relay. These are absolutely the worst. I hate when they have these. They're just much harder to test. You can't just pull the relay out and get to the legs to see what you'd be missing. This battery junction box is not the easiest to get to the bottom connectors. A lot of things have to get unplugged, which make it a little bit more difficult to test. So first thing I wanted to do here is just monitor this fuse, F730 amp. You can see we got the starter motor down here. We have the powertrain control, which is going to activate this relay, pull the switch, send power to the starter motor. Starter motor is grounded to the engine. So when I'm cranking it, I should have voltage across this fuse. I did not. Pull the fuse just to check, make sure no issues there. So the no start right now I'm looking at is going to be this relay is not getting activated, or there's some issue maybe with the power side of it. So next thing I like to do just real quick is just apply power to the fuse, see if the starter goes, and it's going to kind of confirm this leg of the circuit for me. So just jumping battery positive here. It's always important to have like an inline fuse or something. If you put power to something you shouldn't, it's always nice to have something that could just blow and disable power. You know, if you put power to something you shouldn't, you could start smoking things. So it's always good to have like an appropriate fuse in here while you're jumping as well. So when I did put power to this fuse, the engine turned over no problem. So right there, that shows me wiring to the starter is good. This ground at the starter housing is good as well. So we know there's no issues from this fuse to the starter. So my next step is going to be just check the power supply to this relay. Now this is a big fuse. It's a 300 amp, had good 12 volts on each side. Now, from here, you could do like one of two things. There's a lot of different ways you could attack a lot of these diags. It's really kind of just comes down to the process that you have for yourself, experience of other cars that you've worked on. For this one, I jumped right to the powertrain control module. You could have went here just to make sure you have power going into the relay as well, but I chose to just go right to the powertrain control. I wanted to see if this relay is getting activated, and it wasn't. So I should have 12 volts across these two wires. The PCM is essentially going to just power and ground this side of the relay which will pull this switch over and then energize the starter. So since I didn't have my 12 volts here, I'm kind of locked on to the issue. If I did, then I would probably jump up to here to see if there's an issue with the power going to the relay. But my main concern is going to be now with this powertrain control module. Had I checked it here at the battery junction box, which would be a little bit harder to get to, it's much easier to get to the powertrain control module pins here than it would have been to get to this like battery junction box, because they're on the bottom and it's kind of hard to pull out. But if I checked it here and I had 0 volts, the issue with that would be I'd be unsure if it was the PCM or the wiring in between. But since I'm at the PCM and I have nothing, right now I know that it's a PCM issue, and I kind of eliminated at the moment that I'm dealing with the wiring issue. Whereas if I would have checked it here and had 0 volts, I'd have to go to the PCM just to rule out if there was a wiring issue. So sometimes I'll just go right to the source just to see and then kind of work my way from there. So since I know I have nothing at the source, there's a couple other things I want to check. This is a second diagram for the starting circuit on here. You can see we have a 5 amp fuse at the body control module. That's going to power up the ignition switch. Depending on the position of it, it's going to send that 12 volts to different areas of the body control. When everything is detected for start, it's going to send out a 12 volts to the powertrain control module. So I wanted to make sure that I had that the BCM is seeing everything it needs to send that start signal over to the powertrain control module. And it was, I had my good 12 volts there. So I'm not seeing any issues. You could go to the body control and check some of these just to make sure you had 12 volts at each one in the proper positions to ensure there's no issues with the ignition switch. But live data pretty much showed that, and then seeing that I have my 12 volts here when it's in the start position pretty much shows that everything's working as it should in this diagram here. Next, we have another wiring diagram for the start circuit. This is 3 out of 3. There was 3 total wiring diagrams to this circuit. We had our starter here, right, control from the PCM. Then we have our ignition switch inputs to the body control, and then a request signal from the BCM to the powertrain control here. And now we have the brake pedal position switch, which we verified in live data, so we know that's all working. You could view this data in both the powertrain control and the body just to verify that it's seeing it, or you could do the same thing. You could go to either one of these. You could go to the powertrain control, the body control, and you could check these terminals and verify that you have the proper voltage across those as well. At this point, I'm not seeing anything wrong. It seems like the powertrain control has everything it needs to send a valid start request over to that relay in order to get the starter going. So anytime I'm going to condemn a module, first thing I like to do is always load test powers and grounds at the module. There's been numerous times in the past that I have been burnt if I didn't do this. So it's always good to make sure anytime you're condemning a module, I always like to load test all the powers and grounds. So you can see here at this powertrain control module, we have 1, 2, 3 powers off this F3 fuse, which is a 20 amp. We have another power here, which is a 5 amp. This is a wake up signal here from the body control module. If you were dealing with a situation of like no communication to this powertrain control module, alongside load testing all these powers and grounds, you would also want to make sure you have 12 volts here just with the multimeter. I wouldn't necessarily need to load test this. I would just want to make sure I have my 12 volt signal there. I have ran into numerous ones where if you're missing this 12 volt wake up signal, you'll have no communication to the PCM here. This isn't true on all powertrain control modules, but I've seen this pretty much on all American cars, Ford, GM, those styles. And then over here, you'd have your CAN network, which you'd want to scope if you were dealing with a communication. In this case, we're not dealing with a communication issue. We're just dealing with a logic or component issue, this PCM, where it's not controlling that starter relay to start the engine. So across all these powers and grounds here, you can see I have a bulb here in line with the meter. This way I can monitor the voltage while viewing a load. So you could do this a couple different ways, checking powers and grounds. This is kind of just one way I like to do it. I like to introduce my own load that I could visually see working, measure the voltage, and then go across it and see what everything is. You could also do like a voltage drop test utilizing the module as a load, and you could voltage drop between the power wire and the source, see if you have any issues there. And the same thing with the ground. So there's various different ways you could load test these wires or do voltage drop. This is just one method that I like to use that I've used a lot. Same thing, moving the meter over to the ground. I'll go across each one of these just to verify I have good ground across all of these. And it was the same thing, brightly illuminated my bulb, have good voltage across them all. So not seeing any issues on the power or ground side of this powertrain control module. So I called the powertrain control module on this one, and the customer called us back maybe about a week later to come and finish up doing the programming. So the new PCM being replaced is going to require PMI with Ford software. Either this one was FDRS, I believe. Then you're going to have to do a PATS security relearn on this for the immobilizer section of this vehicle. And after all of that, the vehicle did start and run, and you could see we have no fault codes in it now and everything was good. So hope you guys like this one. This was just a quick little case study I put together. Sometimes I don't always have footage from in the field. I'm trying to work on getting more like point of view in the field diagnostic footage, but in between some of those, as I don't have any, I have a bunch of old case studies that I've written up on a lot of these vehicles I've done. So trying to put some of these together in a nice format for you guys. So let me know if you guys like the layout of like the scanner here with the image inlaid like on the screen, if you like this style of like the wiring diagrams with the meter and everything. I chose to not redraw these diagrams because this was a pretty simple diagram from Ford. I actually really like how these diagrams are laid out. It's pretty much everything you need for like the power circuit here, everything you need for like the starter circuit in like small diagrams. Really not a lot of extra fluff on these diagrams. They're colored, which is really nice. So Ford does a really good job at their factory diagrams. So that's why I chose on this one to just go with the factory Ford diagrams. So, but with that, that's pretty much going to sum this one up. It ended up being a bad powertrain control module. We went through all the inputs to the powertrain control module, making sure it had everything it needed to enable that start request to that integrated relay, and there were no issues there. So we called a PCM, that fixed it, went through all the steps to program it, do the PATs and any other configurations that it needed, and that one fixed this one up. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.